So, folks, I wanted to take a look, a bit of a deeper look at Taylor Rehmet, who just completed a 32-point swing in Trump country. Like, I wanted to, dig into that a little bit more, because Tarrant County is a very interesting part of the country, and the upset is obviously historic. Like, it's absolutely colossal. And so I thought we'd go back and just kind of look, what was his strategy here, right? What did he do that got such a swing? All right, let's take a look. So this is the kickoff to his campaign, right? I've punched a clock, pulled my weight, and kept my promise to this country. That promise didn't end when I hung up my uniform. It's why I'm running to fight for working people who deserve a fair shot, a decent wage, and a government that shows up like they do. And I do have to say, Dems, you should be taking notes on this man. Yeah, anyone primarying a centrist Dem, take notes on this man. All right? This is the kind of stuff we need. All right? Not just in, a deeply conservative district. We need this everywhere, right? Taylor Rehmet announces candidacy for Texas Senate District 9. Veteran, union president, working class fighter enters the race with a bold vision for Texas. Taylor Rehmet, a lifelong Texan, Air Force veteran, and proud union machinist, has officially declared his candidacy for Texas State Senate District 9. With deep roots in working class communities and a relentless commitment to economic, social, and climate justice, Rehmet's campaign promises to put power back where it belongs, in the hands of the people. Every day I roll up my sleeves, clock in, and go to bat for what's right, said Rehmet. I swore an oath to the Constitution that when I joined the Air Force, and that promise didn't expire when I hung up my uniform. Texas is being sold off to the highest bidder, and working folks are being left behind. I'm running because we deserve a government that works as hard as we do. Rehmet's campaign will center on a 5-point platform focused on veterans' rights and services, workers' rights and union power, truly affordable housing and tenant protections, fully funded public education with vocational pathways, land and water conservation for future generations. I do want to make one thing very clear here. Chuck Schumer, if you're looking for the platform on affordability, this is it. This is maybe not entirely it. This is I don't know, 3/5 of it, 4/5 of it. It's substantial. He's basically written you a blueprint just in his announcement up for his candidacy, right? But let's finish reading this, okay? As president of the Texas chapter in the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, IAM, and a longtime Fort Worth resident, Rehmet brings not just experience but lived reality to the policy failures working Texans face every day, like skyrocketing rents to collapsing infrastructure. There's a storm coming, Rehmet warned. It's not red or blue, it's the people rising up to take back what's ours. I'm not here to play nice with corrupt power, I'm here to build something better. So, honestly, we're talking about a campaign that is operating on a budget of around $200,000. They don't have video ads. They didn't run TV ads for this. His opponents had over $2 million funneled into their campaign, and he managed to beat the odds. So this message is in fact extraordinarily powerful. And also, just want to throw out there, if you need more union credentials from this man, he was literally sworn in while campaigning as the vice president of the Texas AFL-CIO. So, pretty solidly union guy. You couldn't really ask for more of a union guy. It's pretty cool to see. And here he is on Victory Night, giving maybe one of the shortest speeches I've ever seen in my life.
Everybody, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being involved and helping with this campaign. Tonight, this win goes to everyday working people. Let's go!
We will see you out there.
Let's go! Everybody.
This guy has big lunk energy, and I'm here for it. This guy has big lovable lunk energy, and I'm here for it. I hope he's not another John Fetterman, but like, I gotta say, right now, this, like, as far as I can tell, when it comes to his campaign, he focused on like working class issues. He focused on, can you pay rent? No. Can you pay for healthcare? No. Can you live on a minimum wage? No. And like, I think that is incredibly effective messaging. We need to really tamp down on that because that's what people are looking for, right? Now, here's his website. Let's just take a look at his issues page here. About Taylor, union president. We already went over that. The runoff. Yep. On the issues. Veterans Affairs, a veteran who knows firsthand what it means to serve, what it feels like to be forgotten. He believes our duty to veterans doesn't end with a folded flag or a ceremony. It means real support for the challenges veterans face after service. Taylor will fight to fully fund mental health care, job training, housing, and support services for veterans and their families across Texas. Push for programs that prioritize housing, the unhoused, create career pathways in public service, and ensure every veteran is buried with dignity and honor. I wonder, does he have a section? Let's see. He's union president and machinist. Taylor believes the backbone of Texas isn't the boardroom, it's the workshop floor. He knows the best way to raise wages, protect jobs, ensure dignity of the people is through strong unions and worker power. Taylor will lead efforts to repeal anti-union laws, expand collective bargaining, bring good-paying union jobs back to Texas communities. He supports reclassifying gig workers, guarantee benefits, and will fight for apprenticeship pipelines that create career paths for the next generation. I do want to say one of the reasons Veteran Affairs, aside from him being a veteran, and aside from it being the correct position to have, the reason that's listed first is because Terrence County, where he was running, has one of the highest concentrations of defense manufacturing in the United States. It's basically, from what I can tell, Terrence County is, hey, the military factories and mega churches and oilmen. Like those are the three things that go on there. All right. And so that's the reason it's listed first. It's a tactical maneuver, as it were. Truly affordable housing and tenant rights. Taylor believes renters deserve dignity, transparency, and power, and he'll work to stop corporate landlords from turning Texas neighborhoods into profit machines. He supports statewide rent stabilization, tenant protections, and deep investment in public and nonprofit housing that working families can actually afford. Okay. Public education and vocational training. This, to my understanding, was one of the main things that drew a lot of folks to his campaign. Largely because Terrence County is MAGA central. It's colossally conservative. And that meant it became one of the testing grounds for conservatives controlling school boards. And it turns out that, like, the main thing that the school board was doing, like leading a crusade against library books with like trans kids in them or trans people in them, like, turns out that's not what most parents want their school board to be doing. They want their school board to be like ensuring that the school has funding, that there are more books in the library instead of less, that, generally speaking, you want the school board to be making sure that the education kids are getting is the best it can be, right? That's not what was happening. So part of the reason he was successful here is because he wants to effectively take back control of public schools and at the very least put them into an apolitical, relatively, category, where Republicans aren't just like every time they need to manufacture an entire outrage scheme, they don't just immediately go to your local school. you know? Make sure that they're not peopled with, like, crazies who are gonna, like, try and catch a kid on camera to fabricate a nationwide panic about, I don't know, litter boxes in the classroom. So, yeah. Wait, he who? We're talking about Taylor Rehmet. Land conservation and environmental justice, which, as you might imagine, in the heart of oil country, land conservation is actually pretty important because a lot of these oil machines break and a lot of the pipelines leak, and these people who live there know that. So, yeah. As a lifelong Texan and steward of the land, Taylor believes environmental justice must include people who live closest to the land, farmers, ranchers, rural communities, and Native American tribal authorities. He'll prioritize clean air and water no matter your zip code, which, again, a dig at how politics as usual has played out in Tarrance County. Redistricting and voter rights. Taylor will fight to end racial and partisan gerrymandering by pushing for an independent redistricting commission and ensuring communities of color aren't cracked or packed out of power. When precinct lines are drawn behind closed doors to silence working families, that's not democracy, it's theft. Taylor supports legislation that increases transparency in the redistricting process, creates enforceable protections for minority voting blocks, and strengthens the Voting Rights Act. I mean, like, guys, this is like, it's incredible that this message won. It's crazy. It's wonderful. You know? It's really nice to see. Like, he also got endorsed by so many different groups and people. Run for Something was one of the big motivators behind his run. Obviously, Texas AFL-CIO, he had that in the bag. But, like, he got a bunch of union support. He got a bunch of elected officials. Like, this was a huge campaign for a state Senate district. It's good. It's good. It's wonderful. And, well, let's just take a look at an interview he did. I believe this interview is from 2 weeks ago. So this is prior to his win. And just let's see how he does on camera, because one of the things that was difficult to find from him was anything that wasn't shot as like a selfie, you know? So how does he do on camera in an actual interview setting? All right.
Taylor Rehmet, Democratic candidate for State Senate District 9. Thank you so much and welcome back to Eye on Politics.
Thank you so much, Jack. Happy to be back.
Good to see you. So you're in this runoff now against Republican Lee Wambsgans. How energized are
Wambsgans? It, man, sticks to the tongue like peanut butter, don't it?
Democrats to get out and vote?
Well, I think they're very energized. I mean, you know, with a campaign, you can't always measure the energy, but you can feel it. And we feel the energy for our campaign in this election every single day.
He does have a nice beard.
We're seeing that Democrats and some folks from the Republican side are energized about getting something different out of their Senate district.
And let me ask you, because on Election Day itself the last time, you had more votes than the two Republicans combined. Now, obviously, total votes, they had more. But I'm wondering, how did you accomplish that? And what does that say now about this race?
Yeah. Also, by the way, the race that just happened was a runoff. So basically, none of the people who ran in the previous race to fill a the vacant Senate seat, none of them were able to secure enough votes to win the seat. And so it went to this runoff with him pitted against Wambsgans. He outperformed in the last one, and he way outperformed this one. And what's really interesting here and important to note is that he's not even really done campaigning at this point, because there's going to be another election later this year for that same seat. So he's going to be in campaign mode nonstop here, but him getting national attention at this point is really, really useful. It's really useful because it signals to Democrats on the national level, hey, this is a guy you can put some money in. hey, maybe all of these other races that you've been assuming are lost for decades, maybe you just have to actually put a little bit of seed money in there and see what grows. Okay? Yeah, 3 elections, what the hell? Yeah, the Texas governor, I believe, appointed the previous person to a role. Incumbent Republican Senator Kelly Hancock resigned on June 18th of last year because she was appointed as Texas comptroller. So there we go. He's got the look. Yeah.
What it says is that, voters are energized for what my campaign is talking about, which is affordability. It's about, meeting people where they're at. That's our campaign strategy, is talking with voters and listening to them instead of talking about them. And this is what this is all about, going out there, block walking, talking with voters at their doors, or on the phones, calling undecided voters.
Which, by the way, this is why you need people to volunteer for campaigns, right? This is why when it's election season and I'm telling you guys, hey, go volunteer to knock on doors, go volunteer to phone bank. When I tell you guys that, it's because it actually makes a difference. I'm telling you guys that because that's how you reach people. You're not going to be debating all of these folks into voting for a different candidate, but it shows that you give a damn. It shows that other people give a damn about this candidate and feel like it's worthwhile doing something that is extremely inconvenient. Please volunteer for Cat Abu. Indeed, go volunteer for Cat. All right, you hosers.
And really listening to what their concerns are. I think that why we have so much enthusiasm for this campaign is we are doing the work, and we were outspent, but we weren't outworked, and it pays off.
And what are you doing specifically? You talked a little bit about it, door knocking, et cetera, to make sure that these folks, your supporters, get out and vote for you. And if you are to win, what would that say just about this race?
So when it comes to door knocking, that's what we've centered this around is, we have volunteers, people that are feeling more energized than others and wanting to volunteer their own time on the weekend.
Iconic Keo over in Twitch chat, living up to their name. The last election, I was a scrutineer and spent my day calling people to vote and driving them to the polls. Probably with my hard work, ended up with at least 100 people who may not have shown up to go, which for a small town, I think is pretty good. For a small town, that's incredible. Well done. You can genuinely make a huge difference, folks.
During the week to get our message out there that we want, our public schools fully funded, that they want our affordability crisis to be addressed, and they want folks like my own parents to retire with dignity and respect and not be crushed by the rising costs of living, especially property taxes.
So those are the three top concerns.
I like that he seems fairly soft-spoken and straightforward. Like, he's no Zoran Mamdani. He's not electrically charismatic. He's just like, hey guys, I'm gonna make your lives better. Vote for me. I like that people did. It's crazy. It's crazy how easy it is.
That your supporters are telling you.
Yes.
And so how would you like to address that? You talked a lot about affordability. So what exactly does that mean? What policies do you want to try to enact? And if you are elected, how do you do that in a Republican-controlled Senate?
Well, policy-wise, we can look, for instance, that before, historically, the state paid a lot more on our schools' maintenance and operations. And
he won the seat in a runoff to fill a sudden vacancy that opened up last year. So this, it's a vacancy that opened unexpectedly, and then he went to fill it, but Texas legislature isn't going to be really in session that much, and so he's effectively going to just have to keep campaigning through the summer.
if you have the the proper funding, right, from the state, it would help our local property taxes get lower. And you look at industries like hemp and stuff like that. We could easily use that tax to fund our schools. It's been done in other states successfully, and we as Texans need to be concerned about the next generation of Texans. So to me, it just seems like a no-brainer, So, and as far as what was the other part of that?
Well, as far as the affordability, so you said some other things in there about property tax, and I'll get to that in schools. But as far as the affordability, what are people telling you is unaffordable for them? And that's what I'm wondering. How do you solve that? What is your plan to solve that?
Absolutely.
Do you have a plan to solve that, like a problem like Maria? How do you solve that? You have 15 seconds. How do you solve a problem like Maria?
Well, for instance, we have rising costs of living, and that is what the affordability is based around. It's making corporations pay their fair share. I mean, they get subsidies. Just again, going back to property taxes is one of the biggest ones. That affects rent, that affects, homeowners, and that's something we all share. So if you look at the subsidies they get for their projects and all these things, someone's got to pay that cost. And it turns out it's the homeowners.
And so I know that the state has lowered property taxes, school property taxes, to contribute more state money to fund public schools.
Was that sound from the interview? Yeah, plane or something.
And take the ease off.
Yeah.
And Republican leaders are saying they want to do more. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, there's ways, like I stated before, there's ways we can do it, and it does talk. You said it was a Republican, majority. That just means we have to actually communicate on the issues we want to focus on, and that means primarily for the working Texans, who I would want to champion their issues first.
And you mentioned fully funding public schools. Are they not fully funded now?
It's not even just about the fully funding, right? I mean, it's a multifaceted issue, and you look at our schools, right? When they're getting the maintenance and operation not paid, right, from the state, we are seeing those property taxes increase. If we fully fund these schools, that means that these teachers' classrooms are not 40 plus kids in a classroom. They're not paying for school supplies out of their own pockets, so it will take Republicans and Democrats to have a real serious talk about this issue and getting the supplies into these schools, getting these classroom sizes down.
Yeah, what he means by they're not fully funded is the teachers are overworked, underpaid, not supported by the district, etc. That's what he means by not fully funded. And that's pretty clear if you're a parent with a kid in any of those schools. That's going to be something that's immediately obvious to you. And also, not only that, but earlier in this conversation, earlier in this interview, the interviewer mentions that Republicans at the state level lowered the school property tax, which I want to remind you guys isn't a property tax that the schools pay. It's the property tax that the people who live around the school pay that goes towards funding the school. So the interviewer literally just maybe a couple minutes ago here said that the state cut the school funding. And technically it is fully funded. They're not saying, oh, we have X amount and then not coming up with that amount. But it's not fully funded in the sense that it is doing right by the teachers or the students or the parents, for that matter. Yeah, the interviewer does sound like he's doing a bit.
So that they can have the performance and not be, taken over by the state, like in Houston and here in Florida.
School funding is so strange in the U.S. That's because of segregation. School funding is largely tied to property taxes in the United States as a backdoor way to continue to segregate communities after the Civil Rights Act was passed. So that's why our funding here is all messed up. It's a legacy of slavery and Jim Crow, and we should probably stop that. Just stop it, actually.
Worth. And what do you make of the fact that some schools, local schools, are being shut down by a lot of these school districts across the area?
You know, I believe there's some talk and correlation regarding, you know, the opening of a bunch of charter schools, and you know, it could take away from that population to where they do need to be shut down, according to what they're saying. But it's an issue that I'm you know, still looking into.
And I know in one of the more recent polls from University of Texas Politics Project in December showed that most Texans, the biggest concern they have is health care.
Yes.
And so how would you like to see that addressed in the state of Texas?
Yes, I would love to see us, you know, Democrats and Republicans come together and talk about that, because we have people in Fort Worth that are choosing between rent or food and their cancer treatment. I mean, this is a big problem. So
this guy strikes me as a Medicare for All guy, but he's probably running in a district where Medicare for All as a phrase is political poison, like just a political cyanide pill. So my guess is he's like, yeah, Republicans and Democrats should come together and discuss it. But really, it's just his way of pointing out, like, Republicans who are currently in power are doing diddly shit to help folks who have high healthcare prices. Like, I think that this is a clever tactic without giving away your hand in a way that could negatively impact your campaign.
I think if we can, you know, work together on this, we could maybe even have some kind of, you know, relief or, you know, subsidy for, you know, Texans that are dealing with serious illnesses.
And I know that Democrats in the past have advocated for increasing Medicaid, expanding Medicaid in the state of Texas. Republican leaders have said no. What's your thought about this?
Well, that would be a great start. You know, a lot needs to be done here. If you even think about like the hospital districts we have, getting that increase in Medicaid would actually lower the property taxes in those hospital districts. So again, it comes back to that affordability. It comes back to it's all encompassing to where we need to make sure that we have the federal support for giving the best opportunities for our constituents.
Oh, God. Wow. I've never seen this, Paladin. Thank you. San Antonio Independent School District v. Rodriguez. In addition to being funded through a state-funded program designed to establish a minimum educational threshold in every school, Texas public elementary and secondary schools rely on local property taxes for supplemental review. Rodriguez, acting on behalf of students whose families reside in poor districts, challenged this funding scheme by arguing that it underprivileged such students because their schools lacked the vast property tax base that other districts utilized. The reliance on accessible property, the school districts claimed, caused severe inter-district disparities in per-pupil expenditures, which is true. Question: Texas public education finance system did Texas public education finance system violate the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause by failing to distribute funding equally amongst its school districts? Conclusion: 5-4 decision. No, the court refused to examine the system with strict scrutiny, since there is no fundamental right to education in the Constitution, and since the system did not systematically discriminate against all poor people in Texas. I wonder who it may have in fact systematically discriminated against. I wonder. Given the similarities between Texas's system and those in other states, it was clear to the court that this funding scheme was not so irrational as to be invidiously discriminatory. Judge Powell argued that on the question of wealth and education, the Equal Protection Clause does not require absolute equality or precisely equal advantages. Just, it's incredible that they're like, well, you don't have a right to education, actually, so get fucked. Smoke bomb.
The state is in the process right now, going back to education for a minute, the state is going, is putting together this education freedom accounts program, school choice, taxpayer-funded program allowing students to attend private school. Where are you on that issue?
Well, Jack, I am totally against it. I think that,
So, Democrats on the national level, this is what's called having a strong, principled position. When somebody asks you point blank, are you in favor of a thing, and you are not in fact in favor of that thing, you just say, absolutely not.
I'm a product of public schools, and I know they work and I know they're great. These private schools, they get to pick and choose which students they take. And public schools accept any kid that walks through the door, even the ones that are more expensive to educate. I think that's great. I think that we need to, focus more on the public schools and making them better, because we do rank low. But that fact that we're giving public dollars to private organizations that can deny kids entry, even if you have a voucher. So that's a problem. There needs to be much more regulation on this.
Yeah, also, like, it is very well known what the problem is with charter schools, right? Like, charter schools, because they have different standards for entry, unlike a public school, will often discriminate against children with, like, learning disabilities or children who, have physical disabilities, because they can cost more to, like, have in your school. And accommodations might take time for kids to adjust to. So, like, if kids start performing poorly on tests, they can be kicked out. Doesn't matter what's going on, because they're making the school look bad. They're bringing down the average scores. So a lot of charter schools have systems where they cut the lowest performing children and send them back to a public school, where they then have worse education systems that are chronically underfunded as a result of all the funding being funneled to charter schools. Like, it's gross. It's genuinely gross how charter schools treat disabled kids. It's awful.
It really should just go away completely, and we should, focus on other ways we can increase our schools. But, it's enshrined. Public education in Texas is enshrined in our Constitution. So we have to stick to our Texas Constitution and our duty to serve in increasing public school education for these kids.
The Republicans, I don't see this, now that this bill is passed, I don't see it changing. So what are you going to be looking for in this program? Because it's going to roll, it's in the process of being developed, it's going to roll out and start in the fall for this year, for the next school year. So what are you going to be looking for?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, I want to make sure that even kids that get this voucher that are expensive to educate aren't being rejected. I want to make sure that it's fair and equitable.
Parents are the ones who select the schools. So,
Yeah, but the schools are the ones who select the kids. That's the issue that you're running into here. Because the school priority when you're a charter school isn't the best educational outcome for the students. It is looking really good so you can make a profit. That's it. Like, the primary driver isn't the quality of education and the educational outcomes. It is, in fact, or ideological indoctrination if it's a nonprofit charter school, which those do exist.
They're the ones who select. Now, yes, I've heard the criticism that the schools, don't have to accept the kids.
It's a large criticism.
And so what do you want to change with that?
Well, what I'd like to change is kind of what I said before. I would look at, I don't even want to operate in the framework of what they're doing, but if I had to, it would be serious regulation and oversight, because I don't think public dollars should just be funneled to private schools. I would rather see us, focus on what's already been working in Texas that, to me, can be great.
And are there any other issues that are on your radar that you think, if you get to the Capitol, that you want to address?
Absolutely. One of the things that I really think we need to address is campaign finance in our state. There is no individual contribution limit. You notice from the campaign finance prior, I had 2 candidates that I was going against that were funded by 2 separate billionaires. I think that that's wrong. I think that it
Hell yeah, brother.
really makes it hard for grassroots and local folk to get elected organically. And I also think there should be term limits. I think that's something that would be great to see. I mean,
This guy, I gotta be honest, this guy's killing it. Yeah, all right. So he hasn't been super vocal on LGBTQ issues, which is, unfortunate, but it's also not surprising as a matter of course in this particular arena. And when you actually look into his story, he is a product of watching, again, the conservatives on school boards just go way overboard, persecuting LGBTQ issues. That opened the door for his candidacy. Because people, in fact, don't like the rampant bigotry against LGBTQ people. They want better education. So, I think the premise of his campaign being built on an ideology that is anti what the Republicans were doing, I think that's good. I think that's a good sign. I'm not going to say we're out of the woods exactly, but it is notable that he's not running on screw LGBTQ people. So, is it possible he supports us? Yeah. I would just expect it to be one of those things where he would probably, the vibe I get from this guy, not to put words in his mouth, but the vibe I get from him is that he would be yeah, LGBTQ people are fine, but let's talk about let's talk about campaign finance reform, or let's talk about anything that materially impacts working class people, of whom a sizable number are LGBTQ. I'm not typically a vibes voter, though. Yeah, but I don't know. I've been talking for the last 40 minutes about his other policy positions, so
I don't want to make a career out of being a senator. Okay, I want to serve just like I did in the U.S. military, and then I want to live my life after. It should be a service, not a career.
And so, do you have any ideas as far as what the term limits would be?
I haven't. I've been drinking from a fire hose here. From a fire hose here. I have a lot of issues that I'm very passionate about, right? But if I were to say 3 to 4 terms, something like that. I mean, it's something we don't have to come together as legislators and talk in the legislature and legislators. We'd have to talk about this. I really think that to build that trust.
No, I think there's a difference between being someone who is a class reductionist and someone who is yeah, of course I support LGBTQ people, but I'm here to talk about minimum wage. I think there's a difference between being class reductionist and just being yeah, why are you even asking me about LGBTQ people? It's the most normal thing in the world. Stop it. Let's talk about minimum wage. I guess that's what I'm going for, which I don't think is class reductionist. It's just, it is treating, here's how I would describe it. It's treating LGBTQ people like we are included in society as a matter of course. So, his focus would be, you describe his focus as being squarely working class oriented and matter of fact about, yeah, LGBTQ people exist. Why? It's not a problem. Next.
With Texans, we need to, have term limits and campaign finance so that we are, regulated. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's honest.
And let me go back and ask you one other question, and
Okay.
that was what I asked you before. If you are to win this election, what would it say about this race, and what implications could there be?
It's a really, I think, a good strategy for, again, the deepest red MAGA territory that exists in the United States.
Wide, if any.
This would mean something big, in my opinion. I know that there's so many folks out here that feel like they've been left behind. Working folks, folks that, get up early, clock in and leave late. And I think that whenever I'm elected, that they will feel like.
Speaking as a Texan, depending on where he's running, it's a horrendous idea to be outright with support for trans people, maybe even gay people. Yeah, Cleaver, he was running in Terrence County. He was running in a district that went to Donald Trump by 17 points, something like that. He swung it by 32 points. It's crazy.
Like they have real representation, but the bigger thing is that it could be a domino that goes and shows other folks that, hey, you can grassroots, and organically run for office and get elected in this state. I think that's a huge message to have. I think that more folks should run for office, especially veterans. I think that right there is the overarching theme. If we're going to zoom out, I think that's what we're looking at.
Taylor Rehmet, Democratic candidate for State Senate District 9. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
It's interesting to see him talk at length. There's not a whole lot of that online. This would be one of the longer messages he put out during his campaign.
Texas has not added a cent to the minimum wage since 2009. $7.25. That's only about $15,000 a year for full-time work. No one can survive off of that, but Republicans don't care. For 15 years, Democrats have filed bill after bill to put more money in the pockets of Texans. And every single time, Republicans have killed it. No debate, no negotiation, just silence. Meanwhile, the cost of living has soared. If minimum wage had kept up with inflation, it'd be over $10 an hour today. The last time we raised minimum wage, eggs cost $2, and the average rent was $847 a month. But Texans are stuck at $7.25, while corporations rake in record profits. That's not stagnation. That's wage theft on a statewide scale. Higher wages aren't handouts. They're essential
I love this guy.
to keep our economy running. They're how working people chase the American dream. And for years, Republicans have stood in the way. When I get to the Texas Senate, I'll fight like hell to raise the minimum wage. I'll even work across the aisle to get it done. And if they bury it, I'll force a vote. And I'll make Republicans show Texans exactly where they stand. We don't need more excuses. We need a raise. Let's raise the wage, let's raise the bar, and let's raise some hell.
Hell yeah, I love this guy. This guy's cool. He hell yeah. Now, I will point out a couple of things about Tarrant County, all right? Which is, there are two things that you should really be aware of that exist in Tarrant County. And those things are two billionaires, all right? So you got, on the one hand, a man named Tim Dunn. Now, Tim Dunn is an interesting billionaire type because Tim Dunn has done a lot of lobbying directly with Republicans, just dropping millions of dollars onto Trump, onto other Republicans. He basically was the career maker for Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas. Tim Dunn is the reason that Ken Paxton exists. And Tim Dunn is also, considered one of the most powerful people in the state. He is also a virulent Christian nationalist who is an active pastor at his own megachurch. And he wants to control the politics of the country. He was one of the main crusaders against LGBTQ marriage or gay marriage, He funded a lot of groups trying to kill that idea. And the other person you should be aware of... Oh, sorry, one last thing about Tim Dunn. Tim Dunn gave $5 million to the Trump campaign, and in return, the Trump White House signed off on the acquisition of his company for $2.2 billion. So that's clearly all above board and not at all a conflict of interest. Yeah, anyway, just openly buying political favors as Texas's kingmaker. But you also got a man named Ferris Wilkes. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Wilkes, is the billionaire who financed the Daily Wire. And Wilkes's company, they're both oilmen. They got all the oil in the world, you know. So that's you got Tarrant County being essentially the hotbed of far right Christian nationalist billionaires. It is hostile territory, to say the least. And what we have seen unfold here is, again, just one of the biggest upsets in American political history. Like, before this election took place, I want to quote this accurately. Let me find this. Yeah, here is a quote from a political science professor, Calvin Gilson. If Rehmet were to lose by 6 points, that would be worth talking about. If Rehmet were to win, you'd say, holy shit. So, I want you guys to understand that the fact that not only did he not lose by 6 points, he won outright by 14.4 points. That is, that's more than holy shit. Like, we're so far beyond holy shit. The other night, I quoted Robert Evans from Behind the Bastards as saying, this would be like if at the height of the invasion of Gondor, Mordor had voted overwhelmingly for Aragorn. We're talking like the most inundated with Christian nationalist messaging county in the entire US of A. And we got a victory here. And Donald Trump, by the way, has been freaking out. It's been actually really funny. In the lead up to this election, he actually weighed in on it and was like, hey, everyone turn out and vote. Hey, everyone, go vote. Go vote for Wamsgams. Go do it. Go vote for them. And like, here he is the day after. Here we go.
President of Texas, a Democrat won your special election in an area that you had won by 17 points. What is your reaction to that?
I don't know. I didn't hear about it. Somebody ran where?
In Texas, a special election for legislative seat. The 9th state Senate seat.
I'm not involved in that. That's a local Texas race.
Did you endorse the Republican?
He literally endorsed it the day before.
I mean, I won by 17,
You did.
and this person lost. Things like that happen.
Does it worry you about the
Well, you don't know whether or not it's transferable. You know, I'm not on the ballot, so you don't know whether or not it's transferable. But you know, you put the Democrats in, you'll end up with open borders again. You'll end up with crime all over the place. We have no crime anymore. And I mean, think of it. The country has the lowest crime it's had in 125 years in recorded history. The year 1900. That's a long time ago. So.
Oh shit! Is his face slumping? He's kind of like slurring his words a little bit, and like one side of his face is more active than the other. Is he? Yo, did he have another stroke? Wait, I'm sorry. Oh shit! I think he had another stroke.
legislative
The
seat.
9th state Senate seat.
I'm not involved in that. That's a local Texas race.
Did you endorse the Republican?
You mean I won by?
I just haven't seen him turned this way, and like the lack of movement on this side of his face.
17,
You did.
and this person lost. Things like that happen.
Does it worry you about the
Well, you don't know whether or not it's transferable. You know, I'm not on the ballot, so you don't know whether or not it's transferable. But you know, you put the Democrats in, you'll end up with.
Like I just want to. One side of his mouth seems to be going up more than the other. That's all I'm saying.
Democrats in, you'll end up with open borders again. You'll end up with crime all over the place. We have no crime anymore. And I mean, think of it.
Oh wow, no crime. It's all been eliminated. Anyway, here's his Truth Social post from the night before. Please make a plan to go out and vote for Lee Wamsgans in the January 31st special runoff election. Lee will never let Texas or the USA down. Donald J. Trump.
The country has the lowest crime it's had in 125 years in recorded history. The year 1900, that's a long time ago. So it's very good. No, I don't know anything about it. I didn't know. I mean, I know there's a race going there. And it's too bad. What can I say?
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy that he doesn't seem to know anybody's name involved in that race. That's wild.
Nothing to do with it. Yeah.
I had nothing to do with it. Don't ask me. I just it's
I have my own
world.
hotline for
It's clown world, folks. It's goddamn clown world. Anyway, folks, all that being said, we need to get organized on the local level. This is the power of a pro-working class democratic message. If we can do this in a red county in the heart of Texas that Trump won by 17 points, we can do this literally anywhere else in the country. Like, I want you guys to know, there is, to my knowledge, and maybe Dragonfly, if she's around, can correct me. To my knowledge, I don't think there are any places in the country, maybe a handful. I don't think there are any districts that could survive a 32-point swing. I don't think it's doable. Okay? We are looking at a sea change. So get organized on the local level, folks. Join your local Dems, join your local DSA, get involved today, folks. We need it to happen. We need it to happen. All right? So if you need help, join our Discord, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems, reach out to GamerG for help with your local DSA. Let's do it, folks. And remember, before you go, let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think this is replicable? Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know. Hit the like button, subscribe, and also, folks, please consider checking out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested on cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is non-tucking lingerie, attractive, wonderful, and very comfortable. And I will also say new styles, sizes, and the colors coming in the near future. So check it out. Link down in the description. Let's keep on going, folks.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat.